we definitely hire the people. We hire them for public accounting firms all the time. So we are a talent acquisition model, the support in the M&A work, support on the HR side, really growth opportunists, if you will, on all those different levers.
And it's something typically accountants suck at, right? Like human resource things. Like that is not our place as logical stuff. So that's so valuable.
Talking about the people, developing the people is different than understanding compensation or payroll.
Right.
We can split them down the middle. I can't do payroll, but I could develop your people.
Right.
I could help train them and lead them and, make them better leaders for you. Easy peasy.
It ain't easy. In fact, it's hard. It's downright tough growing a firm from a solopreneur to a massive team. I often get asked by people, Tyler, who mentored you? And you know what? It shows, because no one did. I made tons of mistakes on the way, learning how to grow my firm from just me to the $1 million firm it is today. And so, when people ask Tyler, do you mentor or coach? I say no one should be subjected to that much of me. But what we did do is bottle up every best practice, tool, resource, template, and walkthrough that we could and package it all into what we're calling the Firm Foundation. Head over to the Firm.Foundation to get access to our library of resources, tools, templates, and instructions on how you can scale your firm faster and get all the tools and resources you need to make your team successful and ultimately get yourself out of the business. Head on over as we're releasing out how to do bookkeeping workflows, tax workflows, metrics, fractional CFO, and more. So get on over, Firm Foundation, sign up for our next release, and we can't wait to see you there. Thanks. Welcome to UnAccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your host, Tyler S. Preston Esquire.
And I'm Jeremy Theodore Logan.
And we're Wild Stallions.
Excellent.
Oh, such a classic movie, man.
Good intro. Man, I haven't thought of Bill and Ted for a while.
Do you see how I made you the other guy and I made me Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, I noticed. I look nothing like him, but hey, whatever.
Yeah.
How you doing today, man? It's been a whole week since we've seen each other.
Yeah, in person, and God, always coming out of these things, like every time you travel, every time we go to conference, such a great experience. Utah is a trip. I don't know if we want to go there, but there's something that goes crazy, and coming out of it, you just, like, if I had hair, I'd be pulling it out, just trying to catch up on all the things now. But yeah, it was a great trip. What'd you think? GrowCon. Let's talk a little bit of it.
I mean, overall, like, again, it's our people. Love the after hours. Love seeing y'all in my hometown. Loved going to a conference and sleeping in my own bed every night. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite parts. I mean, overall, yeah, it was a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to Roger and the whole team over there at Universal Accounting. They did great, right? I think speaker curation really, really well dialed in. Also, I debate between the fact like it was all one room, right? Like it was all main stage stuff, and that's like I kind of like that because I feel like you're missing out on less stuff than when you have this choose-your-own adventure and you can be 4 different places at once. So yeah, I definitely like that as well. And like you said, our people were there. Like just talking with the vendors too, a lot of new names that we weren't seeing a lot of, but talking with all of them, they're like, wow. And we hear this at all the conferences, and I give a lot of credit to the institutional bookkeepers.com that now Jaime is like that group, like we bring it, and just all the vendors, when you talk to any of the conferences that group is at, and probably the GrowCon team too, it's like, you guys are wholly different than every other conference. Like it's so transactional and not emotional at these other conferences that we go to, and we see all you guys and you're digging into personal lives and hugging and just all the real life things, right, that I think a lot of people go to conferences and you don't dig into. So I was there for it. It was a good time.
For me, it's all about just outside the sessions, because like you're sitting there, catching up with Valerie at OnPay. I don't have a single client on OnPay yet. I absolutely love that company just from the experiences I get with Valerie, head of their accountant channel. I get to, Sharon Fuller, you and I all caught up in one of the back rooms with Jaime and our past guest, David Costello. And it's just like connecting with other players in the industries. We all went over to the bar across the street almost every night, Gracie's, and just the amount of conversations and connection that happened there. Like that's my favorite part of these shows, is really growing the friendships in the industry.
Yeah. And we're gonna get Sharon on here. She was fun. She's coming on for sure.
Sharon's time is coming. Jeremy, I'm super pumped for this week because our guest that we're bringing in, we usually have accountants in here, nerds talking to nerds. And while she is a specialist in the accounting industry, she actually knows about like how to manage people and how to grow firms, things that you and I think sometimes suck at. So I'm really excited because this is just class for you and I. But allow me to welcome to the show, dare I say, my friend, Rachel Anevski, CEO of Matters of Management, Dr. Rachel Anevski. Just welcome.
Well, I'm so beyond grateful and happy to be with you guys this morning.
And dare I ask, what series of unfortunate events led you to come on this podcast?
Oh my God. Well, you and I met at Firm Growth Forum. We're going to see each other again next week there. So, you know, we got to sit on a cool panel together and chat. And I think I certainly can like nerd out. So I feel like I'm in good company.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've ever had a doctor on our show before, correct?
That's fantastic. I'm the first doctor you've had here on.
That's why it took so long for us to make this happen, Rachel, because I wanted to wait until that degree became final.
I'm good with that. I mean, it's been a journey for me to get to the table. So like this is, you know, it's just another table that I'm sitting at, right? But you know, and getting my doctorate with research done on CPAs. That's, you know, I think it all makes sense.
I always assumed anybody that's smart probably halfway through the show would be like, what's wrong with you guys? And immediately leave. So this could be interesting.
I'll tell you, I'm like always the one like clicking on the dad jokes and making comments. So I'm locked in. I think you guys are fantastic. I'm having a good time.
Well, Rachel, we're so excited to have you here, and I am not giving the listeners that much of your bio right now because it's going to ruin the questions I've set up into fast figures. So instead, we're just going to kick off a little intro and get ready to go.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
I'm actually scared.
You should be. A minute on the clock. Here we go. In preparation for this episode, here's a softball for you. How many episodes of Unaccountable did you listen to?
3.
Holding the title for the largest reservoir in the U.S., the Hoover Dam can retain how many cubic miles of water within 5?
136,000.
How many seasons of the HBO show Succession are there?
How many seasons?
Uh-huh.
4. 4 seasons.
How many points in baseball is a grand slam worth?
4.
How many miles would the Proclaimers walk to fall down at your door?
500,000.
What was Jenny's phone number that Tommy Two-Tone hopes she never changes?
8675309.
The space in the Atlantic Ocean near Bermuda, where planes are rumored to disappear, is named after a shape with how many sides?
3.
Which number is larger, 3/8 or 21/64?
21/64.
How many sides does a single honeycomb prism have in a beehive?
6. I don't know.
Within 100 years, when did the Gutenberg press come out for printing books?
1972.
All right. Well done, madam.
I'm like sweating and crying and laughing at the same time. This is like, I had no idea that all of this emotion would be brought out in just the first 5 minutes of this conversation with you all.
My favorite analogy we've ever heard is Deanna from Relay, after she went through it, said it felt like cyberbullying.
Yeah, fair comment.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Agree with that. How terrible did I do here?
We'll find out. Let's dive into it. First up, I wanted to give you a softball. How many episodes of Unaccountable? I was giving to give points for greater than or equal to 1, so well done. Just wanted to make sure it was more than our moms still listening to this podcast. But let's dive into actual questions. So I hit you with a very hard one to start. Holding the title for the largest reservoir in the U.S., the Hoover Dam can retain how many cubic miles of water within 5? It's actually only 8.95 cubic miles, but who could even guess like that number? But yes, retaining water is what the dam does best. But when it comes to employee retention, damn, we'd appreciate your insights if you would share on how we can best maximize our employee retention strategies.
I love that question. This one I might know a little bit about. And in fact, wrote a book about it. I spent about 3 years and 15 years. So 3 years in research and 15 years in practice, trying to figure this one out. Started as a director of human resources at a $20 million accounting firm. So I've been hanging out with you for a long, long time with CPAs, and initially built models on retention that were like fun committees and how to just make sure people felt a sense of belonging. That was like, it was easier then. Then we moved on to like ping pong tables. We moved forward from ping pong tables and basketball tournaments to hybrid workforces, remote, flexible time. These were all retention factors. And then I became a consultant and I started like really looking around and hearing what's working and what's not working. To compete with you all, never ever won a CPA, but got that doctorate. And in that research, I spent a good amount of time talking to managing partners, directors of HR, about what specifically it took to both train and retain future leaders in CPA firms. That's what the thesis became. And so Train Your Successor is a framework of 5 different factors that need to be present to retain people. I'll just give you one. It's based off of the human capital theory, and that's just invest in your people. So training, developing them, love them hard, give them what they need particularly. So if you're a small to medium sized firm, you should really know what each individual person needs for success to feel that they've been invested in. Larger firms do it a variety of different ways, but that's about how it goes. And found after 3 years that the firms that have this methodology or this approach really have longevity with people.
So Jeremy and I have tiny little kid budgets, but like, what are the big kids doing that maybe could be transferred down to us little guys? Jeremy, you're at 20 employees, I'm at 16 or something. What could we do to, steal a page out of their book that you're seeing as an investment in those employees?
Sure. So at the more meaningful firms, right? So your smaller firms, more meaningful. The approach, I think, on a personal level is one-on-one. What motivates you in a conversation? What do you need from me, from us, from the team, so that you feel real welcomed and a sense of belonging here? What provides psychological safety for you? Where can you show up where you feel comfortable and confident? And in those conversations, you're going to find out anywhere from gift cards to Starbucks, to time spent with you, to more access to clients, to vacation time, training, education, all of that. It shows up in those conversations at those more meaningful firms. And I think your HR departments grow with large size firms. So at scale, you can do this. And it makes all the difference. And everyone shows up a little different.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you know what the motivating factor are for all 16 of your employees?
I can say yes to all my pod leaders, like my team managers. I don't spend as much one-on-one time with their subsequent teams, so maybe I'd be wrong. But I feel like I know what makes them tick. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with probably not. I think I've let a lot of surface level things. I think we do a really good job at getting to know them as people and showing we care for them. But I think we're probably lacking on that question is really what motivates you? How do we invest in you to make you want to be ride or die nonprofit bookkeeping? Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. How many seasons of the HBO show Succession were there? You correctly said 4. And you're a big advocate.
I have no idea. Never even watched it, to be honest with you.
You said it so confidently. I thought you were going to break down fan lore. You're a big advocate of firms engaging in succession planning. So first, when should they even start this conversation? And, if you were to give advice to 2 mediocre firm owners with a half-assed accounting game show podcast, what would that look like?
Always. You should be always thinking about who can be you. And It's so simple. So where kind of train your successor, or the verbiage train your successor, happened was from a managing partner talking all the time to me, to anyone who would listen, on the perpetuation of the independent firm. And the simplest way to do that is to train your successor. I mean, you could talk about strategic optionality. You could talk about, investing in the firm. You can talk about different partnership arrangements, or how to develop your top line for growth, all of these things. But if you don't have anyone that can step into your shoes immediately and not miss a beat, it just won't ever happen. At a simple way to look at this, I'm going to give you a personal experience. My mother was a business owner. She had a heart attack and her business evaporated in 24 hours.
Oof.
We could not capitalize on anything, just slipped right through our fingers in all of the details. There was no one that could do the work that my mother did. And in that moment, I was working at a public accounting firm at the time. So in that moment, it became top of mind to me. Who next? Right? How can we just maintain this as it is? And I started digging in a little bit deeper. I mean, I've got 3 degrees in psychology: forensic psychology, organizational behavior, organizational leadership is the doctorate. So I spent time in just understanding how people think about this and where the ego sits in public accounting. And we know that you guys, you gals, all of you all are really outward facing instead of inward facing. And succession plan is a lot about the hard work we have to do to look in, to say, hey, like, I can't just have all the control. I have to give that out if I want this to really be successful. So even in your more meaningful firms, having the time to just make sure somebody else does what you do, that's true leadership. You can't lead if you don't have anyone to follow. Somebody should know the ins and outs of all of your clients, your whole book of business, so that you could walk away and be on the business, not in the business. It's real simple math.
I like it. Jeremy, we got work to do.
Oh, yes. Do we have work to do?
It's hard. Listen, these things are hard work. And it means like having out of body experiences, right? Like how other people are viewing you. What are you actually doing and spending your time on? It's all of these things that we do the hard work with you.
Yeah, and also finding somebody that wants that, right? Like we built it just like, I think both of us, to get, maybe Tyler, a reaction from where the economy was at that point, right? That you really went in and did it. To me, it was like, I don't want to be a corporate accountant anymore. And I was just passionate about getting out of that. How do you get somebody else like passionate to be like, I want to lead this group of people and grow this, right? I think that's a little bit of a unicorn, hard to nail down.
Well, and dare I build on that, Jeremy? Because my biggest fear when I keep delegating and getting myself more and more is that my staff looks at me as like, oh, so Tyler's just trying to check out and not do anything. And it's like, no, I'm still on the team, but I don't want it to come across like I'm trying to offload all my responsibilities. But I also want to make sure this thing could run and take care of my family if I get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Well, and you have to celebrate your expertise, your genius, and your talent. And I think as we grow, we look for kind of that A partner, B partner, or where we can really be compatible and coordinated and work as a high functioning team. That requires everyone in their own lane. And so if you're feeling that way, it's kind of like feeling like not respected in the work that you're doing, then there is some work to do, right? There's some transparency that needs to happen. There's language that needs to be built around that, because the team approach never feels that way. High-performing teams really, truly believe in that everyone is doing exactly what they should be doing, and we need every part of it. So building together.
I like that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one. How many points is a grand slam worth in baseball? Points, runs? I mean, can I say points? I don't know, but
I was going to say points in baseball. Come on, man. What is
I know.
Question is it? Question.
Yeah.
I know. Regardless. I mean, what was the final score? How many points? I know, runs. You said 4. You proudly say, as mom, you were able to coach Little League along the way while building your HR empire. I'm curious what being able to be there and do that side of your life of coaching your kids' team, like, what did that mean to you? And how do you take that into your practice now as you're advising leaders?
It's a great question. So being in the dugout as the only female baseball coach, so I played softball growing up. I have 2 boys. I absolutely thought my kids were going to be baseball stars. Like I have a son. His name is Nathaniel. I was ready with the bobblehead, Nat the Bat. I was ready. It was going to be a thing. We get on the field, and both my kids in succession hated baseball. It was like a hot minute. We were in, we were out. They were kicking the sand, devastated to find out that they were both soccer players, knew nothing about soccer. Became soccer mom shortly, and now my older son, 21 years old, is D1 soccer player and finance major. Interned at Citron Cooperman last summer because I told him you have to learn taxes before you tell anyone about their wealth. And so it was a hot minute. Coaching became a part of my life, though, and I think the give back to kids and Matters of Management. So Matters of Management is the acronym for MOM, Matters of Management. Didn't start out that way. It was M squared. It was a real accounting focused. It was one of the very first CAS or outsourced HR or fractional HR ideas, because we built it 15 years ago. And then I started working in it about 13 years ago. So they kind of call me the grandma of frac when it comes to HR outsourcing. It was way before it was even, CFO outsourcing wasn't even a thought at that time. But I was developing the infrastructure of growing accounting firms and our clients while I was working inside a public accounting firm. So the coaching, the MOM acronym, all of those things kind of built who we are. And I think it's interesting when I talk to young professionals today about how many of them actually know what they want to be. I mean, we're living longer, we're doing more stuff. It's okay to have multiple careers. I mean, I've met hundreds of CPAs that are just waiting for their opportunity to become a landscaper. Just like always the conversation. Get me outside when I'm done with this. So woodworker. Yeah, like it's just like, what happens there. But coaching centric to what I do as a service line, as ways in which I help develop people. I've been told that I'm a growth strategist with a people purpose. That's coaching, right? Helping people develop. And I will tell you just this, it's important to know as early on in the conversation as possible, but after 13 years of working on my own in Matters of Management, I joined Winding River Consulting as their director, their managing director of people and leadership. So while I still have Matters of Management as a fractional HR company, I have 100% rejoined the CPA community as a leader to do just that, to help coach, develop, lead teams. So it's been a journey, but all started there in Little League.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. Well, I don't want to even do my follow-up question because I tie into it here in the next one. But how many miles would the Proclaimers walk to fall down at your door? Ian, hit us with the clip. Yeah, kind of a trick question, Rachel. 500 plus 500 more to be the man to walk. I'm sorry.
Wait, though. If you listen back to what I said 500,000.
Yeah,
So,
you kind of mixed it all together. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I was singing it up here.
Yeah.
And that's credit. So I got to get half credit.
Half credit, 100%, yeah.
Jeremy's giving out the sympathy points. But we often look at the ambitious accountants who would take on that journey of 1,000 miles to becoming a partner in a firm. But you say we have overlooked the opportunities to build leadership opportunities into a firm that aren't on that partner track. What does that look like in the bigger firms now?
So a couple of different things. 15 years ago, you would not ever have someone who was non-CPA partner. Now you have lots of non-CPA partners. You've got controllers that are partners. You've got HR professionals that are partners. You've got sales professionals that are partners, growth strategists, CROs, CGOs. I mean, you got lots of mix of expert level. A lot of that is happening because we are migrating to not being accounting firms anymore, right? Some of us are going into technology focused firms. Some of us are more full service, professional service firms or consulting firms. There's more of a mixture of what we do today. So there's more leniency as to what kinds of people we need. And so we're leaning into the needs of our clients versus the needs of AICPA or, the old script, the 100-year-old firm, cut, paste, this is all we have. Mm-hmm. And so as organizations evolve, we need to meet their needs. And so that's why I see there's more openness to alternative practice styles. And when I say alternative practice styles, you see that with PE coming in, alternative practice styles, with ESOP models, which I think small entrepreneurial firms should look into rather quickly on an exit.
We need a whole nother hour because I want to talk about, for those that know, ESOPs, employee stock option programs. We need to spend a separate hour on that on the side, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. And happy to. And in fact, the first book that I wrote, there's good chapters on how to maintain your independence as a CPA firm and what those models might look like. My partner, Brian Blaha, does a lot of work in this area, talking to firms of all sizes to find out for you on a financial model, what's going to make the best sense for you as you strategically grow. That's like his whole focus. And like, I don't dive into the numbers. I dive into the people. I understand what models with how it shows up on the financial side and what needs to echo that on the people side, because different people like different things and what's going to work for them. But we've got such like a melting pot of change right now. It's super exciting. And as we move into the future, we also have these cool new job descriptions that are popping up. Like Crow just dumped, 15 to 20 new AI senior accountant job descriptions on LinkedIn, looking for these types of people. We know you don't exist, right? Like it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. 10,000 hours. Well, AI products haven't been around for 10,000 hours. And last week there were 92 tax AI products. And now this week there are 112. So if you're following, right, you're seeing which ones are dying and which ones are surviving. And so you cannot put your finger on something and make it stick today. The evolution is so quick. It's such rapid change. It's so cool to watch.
Yeah. We're getting whiplash at our firms.
It's fun. You don't know what to invest in. It's cool.
Oh yeah. No, the rest of this year is going to be even absurd with what I've seen some firms building behind the scenes, some companies. So it's going to be a crazy year. Keeping us moving though, what was Jenny's phone number that Tommy Two-Tone hopes she never changes? Ian, hit us with the clip right here. Well done. And we could go so far into 80s music, but you and I are going to see each other next week. By the time this drops, it's actually the day after the conference because it was the week of the 20th or whatever, May 20th. But karaoke night is coming up. While I could ask you what your song's going to be, I'm actually more interested to find out your opinion on conferences and what you get out of going to, the sessions that are planned versus the after hour events. Where's the value for you?
Okay, great question. And I know you and we connected really quickly on 80s music.
Yes.
Accounting for Times, the first book I wrote, in every chapter, by the way, we take the chapter title has an 80s song clip right in the title.
This is
Jessica
why we're friends.
Did that. Yes, absolutely. So Firm Growth Forum in particular, I hang out for the karaoke. I'm just kidding. The content is phenomenal. I'll be at probably 8 to 10 conferences starting 2 weeks ago, all the way through the end of July. It is my absolute, talk about whiplash. I love it. I'm off a plane, on a plane, off a plane, on a plane. My kids have always said to me, "Oh my God, Mom, you get to see all of these places." And I'm like, yeah, I see a lot of airports and a lot of hotels.
Right.
But I, if you can't tell, I'm super extroverted. I love the people. So it's an interesting time for me because I'll get to go, I'll meet a ton of people, some really strategic, some off the cuff, take that time back on the plane to just download, process, come home. I don't talk for 24 hours. And so that's cool. But there are so many to choose from. And there's so many reasons why to go to different ones. It used to be you just had your alliance conferences and AICPA. Now you have conferences like, Randy's conference that's focused on wellness, or you've got Upstream where you're focused on leadership. You've got your big alliances, your APRIOs, your BDOs that have this just mixture of talent and people learning about everything. You've got your small conferences that are state societies where you're getting to meet your local people and your local friends. And it just feels like a warm blanket. It just feels like you're meeting people that are talking your talk. It's super comfortable. And maybe at home, and I know for you get this at family life and in personal life, so you're kind of always talking shop. But if I had these kinds of conversations with my husband or my kids, they would think I was foreign. And I love these conversations. So I get to go and do the thing I love all the time with people who love it equally. So you feel like you're with like your soulmates talking the same language. Super cool. But it's exhausting. and to a certain degree, we're all there for a purpose or reason. And the primary reason is education. I think at the core of what we do. And one of the reasons why I love CPAs so much is because you have to choose to be on this journey, this eternal journey of learning. If you want to be an accountant, if you want to have that, you're always learning. So that's where I connect with all of the people. That's the same journey I'm on. It doesn't matter that our practice is different. The journey is the same. So primary focus is the education. Secondary focus is the karaoke, is the fun stuff. The real work does happen in networking when we're kind of like let your hair down and talk about the things that matter most. You all drink really well, so it's fun to watch you. And then the relationships really start to happen. You know, it used to be the after hours where the conversations about who wanted to merge, who wanted to buy practices. Now the conversations are like, who are good consultants? Who are you really using to develop? Who are the people that you are bringing into your teams so that you take it up a notch? That's kind of where we're going. And the conversations really are more about what do we need to do to, you know, build generational wealth within our firms. These are family-owned businesses, most of them. How do we really kind of push these things forward? So there's just a lot to choose from now. It's like a charcuterie of you know, opportunities out there in conference land.
Choose your own adventure. I love it.
That's the next book, by the way, already being written.
Oh.
If you do this, go here.
Yes.
It's my favorite kind of book, Jeremy.
Yeah, I love it.
I know Jeremy and I talk at great length about the after hours at events, and I can personally attest to a lot of the opportunities I've gotten is from the connections after hours, not necessarily just in the sessions. For time, I'm going to keep this moving. This one I added in just because I want to mock the fact you hang out with the accountants, but the space in the Atlantic Ocean near Bermuda where planes are rumored to have disappeared is named after a shape with how many sides? Correct, it is a triangle. And I mean, yeah, you worked at Smolin, Lupin & Co., then Citrin Cooperman. Why accountants, though? You know, if you had to distill it to 30 seconds as to why you even picked us, did you get lost? Was this you just ended up in the Bermuda Triangle and somehow ended up with this goofy bunch of ragtag misfits and ne'er-do-wells? How?
Change management. That's the answer to that. Mm-hmm. And it's counterintuitive, but also like the work that I do. So, and I didn't know that, right? So I wanted to be a criminal psychologist. Only thing I do with you guys now that dives into that is I still do investigations. And so that's fun. I do them for your clients oftentimes, because what am I investigating? Like where you left the files, you know, I mean, what's happening here? So that's the, you know, beginning of it. But I met a managing partner in a conversation. I was leaving not-for-profit industry where I worked with people with autism and took a job as a scheduling coordinator in a public accounting firm. And so in my interview with Ted Dudek, the managing partner of the time, he was looking for someone who had experience in public accounting, like admin level work, and I had none. You know, I was a young professional. I had been a director. I had 6 group homes, a day program, and a school for people with autism. So I'm coming out of not-for-profit, wanting to jump into this professional services. And in that not-for-profit, I did a lot of change management in terms of building goals for people who needed to learn specific tasks. And I feel really connected to that population, but also how to strategically design a goal that sticks. And I learned it from people that really needed it. So if you could imagine monitoring, brushing your teeth 3 times a day and having someone make sure you do that, checking it off every single day. And at the end of the month, calculating how many times it was successful and where you went from here to here. So that's how I presented to a managing partner as to why he should hire me, was change management. And change was also, it was just like this thing for me that came out of working with people with autism. And so I had taken a picture. I live in New Jersey, and so the fall is beautiful here. And so I was riding down Route 80 one day, and in the fall, and all of the seasons were changing. You could see them on the trees, and I took this picture, and I wrote change on it. And I presented it to that managing partner. I said, see, it's important to me. I want to work here. I want to do these things. And he hired me as a scheduling coordinator, and 6 months later, he made me the director of human capital. A couple of years later, I fired the during the downturn of the economy, I was tasked with firing a lot of people, but also firing the director of business development and marketing. And they asked me to do that as well. So I learned how to sell professional services and market professional services and do it for the people. So that's the consultant. That was like when I became a consultant. In that moment, I am like the birth child of managing partners. Like that's just like how it happened. But I always go back to the work I did with people with autism. Always. In fact, some of the work that I do now pro bono are for these types of organizations. I still kind of lock in. And when I talk about change, I ask people, what is your relationship to change? Because we're in an environment, 100-year profession where change is not happening very rapidly. And we're met currently with supercharged change. So it feels kind of wonky. And so going back to developing those goals from the mindset that I have, or the view that I have, I think has been very helpful to people in accounting. But I worked at Smolin for 10 years. So in the business, they were billing me out to work on their clients. And so I asked to be a partner at a time where HR professionals couldn't be partner, and I was declined. They became my first client. They're still a client. I still hang out with those guys. They are near and dear to my heart. I love them. I love the growth. I love that they've kept me along the journey. And Joel Cooperman hired me. He hired me because I knew lots of people in the marketplace. And I really wanted to learn merger and acquisitions, and they were doing it real well. So I got to work there. They became my second client. Still hang out with those guys. And as you heard earlier, I had my son. I called in a friend and had my son work there as an internship. So I think relationships is what comes out of it, and change management is centric to kind of what I do, who I am, and that theme, all the way through. Sorry, long-winded, but you got a lot.
No worries. Okay, next question. Which number is larger, 3/8 or 21/64? Unfortunately,
this question is diabolical. Who knows that?
It really is. But I wanted to give you a 50-50 shot at a fractional question because you offer fractional leadership at Matters of Management, not to be confused with what Jeremy's team calls his fractured leadership, but fractional. Yeah, what does that look like with the firms you work with?
Yeah, so the fractional work is interesting in that, CPA firms, growing CPA firms really are, looking for external resources to kind of plug and play. Where this became really important on the Matters of Management side, and it literally is just one of the services that I provide. But I think learning from CPA firms and seeing that, and I certainly lived through the downturn of the economy. I saw it twice, where we had to, where companies kind of went out of business, wanting to make sure that I was providing well-rounded resources for my clients and, CPA firms and their clients. So between the fractional HR services, which are similar in nature to what firms are providing in CAS or what CFO outsourcing firms are doing, we would go in at that side and, develop from bookend to bookend all of the people. So from hiring to developing to onboarding to training and building them up through performance, all of those pieces are what fractional HR does. We definitely hire the people. We hire them for public accounting firms all the time. So we are a talent acquisition model, the support in the M&A work, support on the HR side, really growth opportunists, if you will, on all those different levers.
And it's something typically accountants suck at, right? Like human resource things. Like that is not our place as logical stuff. So that's so valuable.
I mean, I've sat in a lot of different conferences now where CAS professionals are talking about how they should be doing HR. And I don't know, shoot me down if I ever say like I could be a CPA or I could do accounting.
Yeah.
I can't even 50-50 chance I got it wrong. Yeah, like it's left side, right side. I mean, talking about the people, developing the people is different than understanding compensation or payroll. Just, we can split them down the middle. I can't do payroll, but I could develop your people. I can help, I could help train them and lead them and, make them better leaders for you. Easy peasy. Let's go.
Love it.
2 more questions. How many sides does a single honeycomb prism have in a beehive? You correctly said 6. Well done.
Wow.
Curious, what's up with the bee in your logo and your website? If we could get a quick story on that.
Matters of Management, B, the logo, all of that comes from my work with people with autism. So bumblebees are aerodynamically incorrect. They're not supposed to fly. So if you were to create an airplane out of the same dimensions, weight, wing, span, a plane would never get off the ground. Period. Just aerodynamics. And so bumblebees actually will themselves to overcome the odds. And so I felt in my work with people with autism, they really just put in the work. They overcame their odds and they had superpowers, and superpowers for me are what this bumblebee does. And it was just super cool moments for me. I'm actually tattooed with a bumblebee at the top of my spine here to always remember me to overcome, to just think higher. And so when I built Matters of Management and the thought process of that, it was really to help clients overcome the odds, to make them not part of the statistic, to just build better, do better, and that's what it meant for me.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Last question, Rachel. Within 100 years, when did the Gutenberg press come out? You swung for the fences and missed. 1440, a little bit ago. But I assume Gutenberg, he started printing his Bibles first, but all of that was the lead up just so he could then eventually print your and Jessica's book, Accounting for Times. That whole experience of writing a book with a partner, what was the number one thing that surprised you in that experience of having a partner and writing a book?
Wow. The editorial part of it was grueling, absolutely grueling. So, I mean, we hung out, and Accounting for Times was a little early. So we wrote that before the first major, before you and I met at Firm Growth Forum the first round.
2 years ago,
because Daniel actually had Jessica and I present in that first year of Firm Growth Forum about Accounting for Times. That was prior to all the work in PE. And so Jessica and I sat down and we shared different lanes, and we met and we went to New Kids on the Block concert together. And we said in that moment we were going to write a book together about CPA firms. And so we met all through COVID, 9:30 in the morning, virtually. At the tail end, we were meeting with masks at Starbucks all across New Jersey. And we laughed and we had hard moments, and we really did some research and discussed all the things that we saw were happening across the country, what we believed were going to happen. We shook an 8-ball, said, is this going to show up? Yes, no, maybe. We did all that work. And it's interesting because where we see Accounting for Times really being effective, to the point of your question, is not right now. It was early. It really was. It was kind of like, how did they know? When you read this book, and my partner, Brian Blaha over at Winding River Consulting, it was so interesting because when I met him about a year ago at AICPA, he's like, oh, I read your book. And to see like these different people who have read it and they're like, how'd you guys know this? Is going to be great for future leaders, future CPAs to kind of look back. It's almost like a history piece, because we definitely saw what was going to happen, and we were gunning for the independent firms. Truly, like how do you stay in this space when PE is knocking at your door? How do you develop people with a pipeline crunch? What's going to happen when all the shift of talent stacks, arrive at your doorstep, and now you have, the senior accountant has been, the rung is broken on the ladder. What are you doing? How are you thinking about this model? How are you showing up here? That's all in this book. That was written almost 5 years ago now, 6 years ago. So we were having the conversations. People don't like when I pop into their LinkedIn and I comment we knew this 6 years ago. Sorry, maybe you should look at Accounting for Times, or, oh wait, did you see this in Accounting for Times? I get a little snooty when it comes to that, but we did it,
The oracles. I love it.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Well, go find that book on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, wherever. Accounting for Times with her and is Jessica a doctor or just Jessica Lee Levin? Both of you doctors?
She's doctor. I made her go first.
All right. Rachel, well done. 6 out of 10. Might I say no one has ever done better than 8 out of 10. So bell curve that down. Well done, madam. Before we set you loose to run away and hopefully put a restraining order against us, anything else you want to tell both our listeners, where they can find you, anything they should know?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that opportunity. Look, I've been hanging out with you guys for a really long time. I made a huge decision that not only talking about change, but that I needed to experience change. Matters of Management, while it is still alive and well, is small in comparison to the work that I'm doing with Winding River Consulting. That is a consulting firm that has been around, time tested, true. My partners there are doing phenomenal work with growing accounting firms, small, medium, large, in training and development, in leadership, in digital growth, strategic optionality. We're bringing in all of the managing partners, all of their future leaders, and I feel just right at home doing the work that I love. And I cannot wait to see you out and about at these next couple of events, sharing stories and building relationships. It's just truly what I love to do. And I loved being here and hanging out with you guys.
Dr. Rachel Anevski, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you're welcome. You can be released now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you ready to double your productivity, double the time back for your personal life, and double your efficiency? Well, then right now, look no further than Double Practice Management System, who is changing the game with their crazy quick implementation and rollout of new AI features every week. That's right, I have been geeking out for weeks now on their new MCP connection that allows me to connect my instance of Double to my favorite AI bot, whether that be Claude, Copilot, or Gemini. I'm now able to manage client tasks, employee reporting, as well as delegating work to my team, all within my favorite AI bot. Head on over to doublehq.com to see all of it in action and get your firm up and humming with all the latest tech and tools. See you there. Jeremy, that sound means we are at halftime. And this week, call me self-serving for us, but I really want to dive into the highlight of what we are calling U-F.A.T. Yes.
Oh, U-F.A.T.
UnAccountable's fortnightly accounting trivia starting May 22nd. Guys, if you're finishing your week of just mind-slogging accounting tasks and instead you want to come hang out with Jeremy and I for live trivia, play along on your phones, goof off with everyone else, and win prizes from our sponsors, thank you, Double, for taking the first couple sessions of this, then come join the Facebook group, get that invite, because every other Friday we're going to be going live for 20 minutes at noon Mountain, so at 2 Eastern, where you guys can come, play along, win prizes, and maybe learn something.
We usually drop at least one nugget of good wisdom out there. So yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be super fun.
Yeah, so be sure you're there, have a mobile device ready you want to play on, or I guess you could play on a second screen on your computer. It's a choose your own adventure, but we'd love to have you there and come win some prizes. Like our sponsors, they're stepping it up for this.
Yeah, and speaking of games, I think we've alluded to this, and I don't know, it's been a whirlwind couple weeks, man, but Scaling New Heights coming up. We're going main stage. Oh man, and the plan and the people on our panel, we got our favorite Dawn Brolin. You're probably due to give her another phone call soon. Maybe next episode.
All right, I'll give her a call.
We'll prank her again. Randy Crabtree, who we've had on before, and then Tony Proctor, who I haven't been able to meet yet, but we got in a Zoom together, and I'm already impressed by that guy. And I'm actually going to be in his neighborhood in a couple weeks here, so I'm excited to connect with him. But yeah, going to be fun, going to be different than any other main stage session you have ever gone to. Uber fun, but also with that amount of brain power on the stage, going to be dropping knowledge bombs left and right.
Well, and Jeremy, you and I haven't gone over this yet because I just got approval yesterday, but the sponsor of that session is our friends Gusto. Oh, yeah. Third place prize from the audience that win is Apple AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. Second place is an iPad 11 A16. And first place is Ray-Ban Meta Sunglasses Generation 2. Holy smokes.
Can we play? I don't want to be part of it anymore. I want to play. Wow. Gusto,
so make sure you're there at the main stage. Gusto is bringing it for the prizes. Thank you, Gusto. All right, Jeremy, that's it for halftime today.
All right. Well, let's jump right into our final game of the session. One I'm calling To Accrue or Not Accrue. Right? Just some scenarios here, Tyler, and all 50%, right? I'm being nice to you this week. Does this scenario warrant an accrual or not? It will, if you would book an accrual, and maybe I should back up, if a competent accountant would book an accrual.
Those are two different things. You said, would I or would a competent accountant?
Yes. Right, let's go with that way. So in all of these scenarios, we are closing the books for June. Okay? Setting that stage. All right. Number 1. So Tyler books a strategy retreat on June 28th, which appears to be 3 managers, 1 conference room, and $487 worth of tacos. The invoice arrives July 6th. Do you need to make an accrual?
I would. Yes.
Yes, correct. So it happened. It happened during the month, right? The experience happened, even though you don't have the invoice till the afterwards. Definitely want to accrue that.
I would do an estimate if I didn't have an invoice, just like $1,500 if we're a company that closes the books and doesn't reopen them.
Or $1,987 with taco purchase.
There you go.
Love it. All right, number 2. Tyler pays a business/life coach vendor $10,000 to help improve the general vibes at Specialized Accounting. The contract runs from June 15th to July. It's a 12-month contract, June 15th to July 14th. Do you accrue that?
It runs for a year, you said?
A 12-month contract starting on June 15th. We're closing June books.
But you said it goes to July 15th the next year? That's 13 months, Jeremy.
What? No, yes. Damn it. All right.
Confident accountant for the win. Yes, I would amortize that. No, Ian, we are not cutting that.
I love it. But you wouldn't even do a 12th of it, right? You would do a 24th of it because some reason you worked with a terrible vendor that started at mid-month.
Yeah. I would amortize it over time, and I would use double accruals and just set that schedule up. Or FinOptimal and Accruer by Tom and Jesse.
Yeah. So to my dismay or benefit, like I was writing these late last night, right, and putting things together, and I couldn't even remember your firm name, whether it was Specialty or Specialized Accounting. But I got to share my screen, and Ian will get you this if you need, and I hope you can see it. And so I Googled your information here and saw this wonderful image came up of this, I assume, nice Latino lady who almost looks like she's giving me the finger. I think. I don't know, but I loved it. I'm here for it, but it was just a little weird. Anyway, let's turn that off.
Amazing.
Anyway, okay. So number 3, a lovely yet unsuspecting, attractive Latino woman threatens to sue Specialized Accounting in June for unauthorized usage of her likeness. The legal says losing is probable, but they can only estimate the range from $50,000 to $500,000. Would you accrue something for that?
Oh, man, this is subjective. I would start putting a bad debt asset on the account, like putting those expenses and start incurring it over time. If you're saying it's probable that I'm going to take a loss, unaccountable might take a loss after this question, Jeremy. So yes, we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree. This one is like, you would probably put something out there likely at the lower end, right? If you're not sure of the amount, right? All that. So yeah, I'll give you that one. All right. Number 4, Tyler decides not to be such a shrewd boss and discussed with a team member a mid-year bonus.
False.
Getting paid out in June, but did not approve or communicate anything about the bonus until July 10th.
I would not.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that too. Like light banter in the office does not warrant an accrual. However, if this was even a thought in a good business owner, you should be putting some kind of monthly estimate and expensing that over the course of the periods, right?
Agreed.
All right, number 5, Tyler engages to have an audit performed on his firm, mostly just to boost his ego and have the auditor tell him he has impeccable books. It is for the year ended, we're saying year ended, fiscal year, June 30th. Field work happens in August, and the invoice will arrive after that.
I would not accrue.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. And I put this, getting ChatGPT to help me on this, and they're like, usually accrue. And I'm like, no, I don't think I would do that. No.
Because it's when the work's performed, and it's not for last year. It's for me to have this year to show off my books. Like right now, this year, I want a report of prior years. It's not, something that's mandatory to get to get the work done last year.
Yeah, totally agree. And to me, this, if you do audits regularly, it really only matters that first year. As long as you have one expense for your audit procedures during your fiscal year, if you're doing them regularly. Yeah. So I don't know if I would accrue that either. 2 more. Number 6, Tyler gently encourages the office printer with his foot on June 29th. The repair company comes in July 2nd and invoices $900. Would you make an accrual for that?
To be honest, I mean, you would in all technicality, just because that's when the period's for. But I would say immaterial. I'm not going to worry about it at $900.
Yeah, I would agree. And like, don't go all Office Space on your printers. Come on.
I literally hear, dang, it feels good to be a gangster in the back of my head when you said that.
All right, last one. Tyler says the poor, wonderful lady that actually does his books, which is his wife, he tells her that he definitely bought supplies in June, but lost the receipt, forgot the vendor, and estimates it was somewhere between $40,000 and $4,000.
I mean, yeah, I would do some sort of estimate if it's going to come through at some point. So I'd say yes.
Yeah, I think this one's a lot of gray too. And that's what I was trying to get is like gray area with a lot of these things. If it's such a wide range of expenses and if you're that useless that you don't know any other details, you could, but what are you going to base it on? Yeah, any of that stuff. So,
but we went through this when I worked in corporate at Montage because they would be like, oh, we brought in this outsourced contracting group to run an event. And it's like, cool, how much was the bill? I'm like, oh, we don't even know what it's going to be. It could be 20 grand. It could be 50 grand. I'm like, okay, so 20 grand. That's what I'm going to accrue. And they're like, no, it's probably more. I'm like, okay, 50 grand. Like, no, it's probably less. Okay, tell me a number. We figured out it's between there. And I say, all right, I'm going to do 35. And then be like, cool. And you just keep like getting closer and closer to that number. The final bill comes in. It's 42. Cool. We were only off by 7 grand rather than off by 42 grand.
Right. You get that big hit. Yep. All right. I think I lost track. Maybe 5 or 6 out of 7. I'm not giving you 100%.
Okay, quick side note after the fact. This is Tyler here, but Jeremy's not going to call it out. But that was a perfect score on that game. So, sorry, had to interject here. Thank you, editor Ian, for pointing that out. Now, back to the show.
Nice work.
I can live with that.
The winner of the week and loser of the week, if you saw the CPA Practice Advisor published their 62nd annual Reader's Choice Awards.
Ooh.
About what kind of goes through all of the software options and polls the 4,000 readers that they have participated, or 4,000 of their published readers participated in this. Just some big themes on winners. Drake dominated a lot of the tax categories, tax prep, tax planning, fixed assets, things like that. Our old friends at TaxDome had a lot of them. Practice management, best client portal, document management, time and billing, things like that. QuickBooks, strong in accounting platforms. They did win their nonprofit enterprise one, won the best nonprofit one. That made me throw in my mouth a little bit. But it was there. The one that was funny to me, though, is that they had, for payroll, they had QuickBooks Intuit payroll systems as number one.
No.
They did, ick. But if you look at it, their score, the amount of percentages that ranked them number one was 15%. And then they had the runner-up at ADP, and their percent was at 19%. So the ADP score was actually higher.
Wait, so is this just what? Yeah, I'm looking at this. So ADP had a higher percentage, but somehow QuickBooks wins. This is the total rigged system, right? Of someone else run the race, but we're just going to appoint who the winner is. Is this by percentage of what people use, or is this an actual satisfaction?
This is ranking satisfaction, I believe.
No, because it has to be market share, because it looks like this adds up to 100%. What?
I think they ask, we don't know this, Tyler, but I think they ask what is your preferred tool? And then they percentage who picks each of the tools out of that. But yeah, it was kind of weird. 15% you win, but the next number 2 has got a higher percent than you. And it was the only one out of all the categories where it was somebody made a mistake and either, I don't know, Intuit paid them or something.
This is also interesting. I get it. ADP is the grandfather. They've been around the longest. They have the biggest market share. I get it.
Right.
Drake Accounting coming in technically third. That's got to be just the old school firms that are doing things last minute at the end of the year, because that is not a sophisticated system. And then our buddies over at Gusto coming in fourth. Interesting.
Yeah, agreed. So some winners there. Losers of the week, though, I'm going with us again. I know we use us a lot, but one of their topics was for out of office, do you regularly listen to podcasts? And it was yes, 2%. No, 88%, and NA 6%. So apparently there's not a lot of people podcasting. And then they did rate favorite podcast was Stats, AICPA, Leary, And then the accounting show, right? And then the concierge CPA. So we didn't get listed as a favorite podcast. So we're going to have to start marketing better to the CPA practice advisors.
Well, Blake and David have been doing this almost a decade now. So we'll give us a little time. Also, you and I can't even get our act together for an episode every other week. So maybe one day we'll have to get our butts in gear. Well, Jeremy, that is all the time we have for this week. Time to make a package and ship out. We'll see you next week, man.
Sounds good.
Let's be honest, most of us didn't become bookkeepers or accountants to spend hours learning marketing systems and chasing leads. Heck, some of us became accountants because we didn't want to talk to people. We did it also to serve clients and build businesses we love. But what if you could get better clients without the marketing overwhelm? Well, that's exactly what Keepful does. It's an all-in-one marketing system built specifically for bookkeepers and accountants. And it works 24/7 behind the scenes to bring in leads, book consultations, and automate follow-ups. You get a professional website, branded consultation page, and follow-up automations all tailored to your business. No more duct taping tools together or hiring expensive marketing teams. If you want to grow your firm with ease and attract better clients without doing more work, go check out Keepful today at keepful.com or follow the link in the show notes to give us a little bit of extra credit with the folks over at Keepful.